He was a redhead, like his hair, bright and jolly and social and just totally lovable.
Rebecca Rasooly still lights up when she talks about her son Ilan. But when she thinks about her son's final days, she says she can't help but feel betrayed.
It can't be that when you call people to come help you, first responders, that they decide whether you're worthy of help. That's not fair.
Friends told the I-Team they were racing on this sidewalk at the University of Maryland. They said Ilan ran backwards to show off his speed when he slipped and his head slammed against the sidewalk. A friend immediately called 911. Tony Levitt, one of Ilan's best friends, was there that night. He said he couldn't believe how first responders treated his friend.
They just, were moving very, very slowly.
Do you think they thought you guys were drunk?
Absolutely.
Tony says Prince George's County EMS told Ilan to walk to the ambulance, even though he was struggling to stand.
Instead of standing flat on his feet, he was kind of like this, standing on like almost the top side of his feet.
Tony said Ilan was screaming at the hospital. When they first arrived, Tony said he will never forget what the EMT told Ilan.
The guy, the one who was driving, he slaps him on the thigh and says, "Could you shut up? There are people who are really sick here."
That's not acceptable.
Absolutely not acceptable. And frankly, if the retraining and the retesting doesn't show an improvement, then those folks would not be back to service.
PG County Fire and EMS Chief Eric Bashore investigated the incident after hearing Ilan's story. He said the technicians were suspended and retrained. The retraining process has been updated since Ilan's incident.
And this case is giving us a moment of pause to be able to go back and make sure that all of our providers are provided with a little bit extra information about recognition of potential head injury and the types of things that they might think were intoxication.
Tony says the staff at Washington Adventist Hospital treated Ilan as if he was drunk, even after he told them he hit his head.
And I tell them time and again, he's not drunk. He puked not because he was drunk, but because he smacked his head against pavement.
Dr. Linda Nordeman is the emergency chair at the hospital, and she says Ilan was treated for a head injury from the moment he arrived.
When I look at the medical care, it was prompt, it was appropriate, things were done well from a medical standpoint. I think we could have been more compassionate, and that is really important to us.
Ilan vomited at the hospital, and Tony said no one would change his clothes. Tony said Ilan was cold, but no one would give him a blanket.
I think that we could have more promptly changed his clothes, more promptly brought him a blanket. They are compassionate acts that everyone deserves.
Ilan Rasooly died 6 days later. His mom struggles with his death every day, especially because of how she says he was treated by first responders.
You think about all the times that you take such good care of your children. And here he had an injury that would kill him, and nobody cared.
But hospital president Eric Wangsness says they do care. He shares Ilan's story with every new employee. The emergency department was retrained, focusing on clear communication.
This was a mirror held up to us that we didn't like. So we wanted to do what we could to try and ensure that no one else had to deal with that kind of, lack of compassion.
Rebecca Rasooly will not file a lawsuit. She hopes her son's story will help future patients in Prince George's County.
We can make it so that even one person gets treated better by an EMS or a hospital in their hour of need. Even one, that would be enough.
John Lewis, News 4 I-Team.